Hi, everyone. I will do a very brief introduction because a lot of people were still hungover at 9 o'clock this morning. So I run a company called White Rabbit. We are a hospitality development business. We're currently invested in Cricket, Island Poke, Lena Stores, and Kim's. And yes, today we're going to talk about our restaurants becoming technology businesses. And I think Jeremy King was on the stage yesterday saying any kind of change is pretty aggressively fought against. And I think the restaurant business is one that does that a hell of a lot. We're not very good at adopting technology. But let's start and kick off with what Peter was just talking about there, and that's delivery. But well, actually, let's get an introduction first from each of you. You'll do it better than I will.
My name is Ohan. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called KRUSH Brands, and we have a multi-kitchen, 4 brands currently, all on our own proprietary online ordering platform, but it's much more than that. It's an entire operating platform.
I'm Simon Potts. I'm the CEO of The Alchemist. It's a bar and restaurant business, 20 locations around the UK. We're predominantly known for very theatrical cocktails and a high experience venue.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm the founder of Beets&Roots. We are a healthy, fast, casual concept, very young, out of Berlin, with 6 outlets in Berlin and Hamburg, and we focused from the beginning on really integrating tech in every step of our process.
Hello, my name is Johannes Schuster. I'm Vice President Business Development for L'Osteria. We are a German pizza pasta concept with 123 restaurants in operation now.
Great. Well, yes, let's start with delivery. We've heard very mixed reviews of people working with Deliveroo and Uber Eats, but maybe let's start with you, Max, because you've got quite an interesting different structure where you've got tech in-house.
Yeah, I mean, so when we started off as a sort of salad bowl concept, very sort of fast assembly, we started with Foodora as a sort of delivery company, the German Deliveroo, and became the most ordered restaurant in Germany. And then sort of the market really changed over the last year, with first Foodora going out and Deliveroo going out, and the market experiencing some problems. And we are now at the stage where we are left with Lieferando, who's a traditional marketplace platform that's now moving into offering sort of their own delivery drivers. And for us as a restaurant, we are now really at the stage to think about, are we waiting for another player to step in and become our logistic partners, or are we developing it ourselves?
Yeah. And you've got it similarly, tech is coming, or is fundamental in-house in your business.
Yeah, we don't believe fundamentally in third-party delivery. You can look at the cost comparison per delivery, but for me, it's more important is the customer data and the connection with the customer. So we take in 55% of our orders through our own platforms today and growing. We use some third-party aggregators, but not delivery. But we use them as long as it's convenient for us and on our terms. If you have an alternative to them, you have much more leverage over them in terms of the terms and conditions.
And I guess it's that point of you own that customer relationship and the CRM, and then how are you interacting with customers and using that data?
So we have, within our platform, we have multiple opportunities. So we have a feedback module built into the back end, so we can respond to customers within 2 minutes. We have push notifications, SMS. We're very respectful. They've given us their data, so we communicate with them on a required basis only. But it's a very powerful place. We also have a digital couponing system, so it's a virtual couponing system. So if we want to promote something, we've got a new product, we want to give it to them, we just drop it directly into their digital wallets in their platform.
Okay. And then L'Osteria, are you more traditional, going through the platforms, or?
Well, we've been delivering pizza pasta through third-party companies for 2 years now, but because of the change that has happened, especially in Germany, our biggest market, we are now developing our own delivery because we just feel more comfortable doing it. We are a very operations-driven company, and delivering a similar guest experience at the door as we have in the restaurant is something that we want to give our customers, and at the end, that's what they deserve, to be honest.
You don't bring the logistics, the bikes, the rest of it in-house, right? That's all?
No, we are now doing that. We've started doing that a few months ago with our own logistics team, basically, doing the last mile delivery. for our guests and customers.
And then Simon.
Yeah, we're on the platform. We have been for about 3 years now. We work with Deliveroo. Really, it's there as a bit of a marketing exercise. We partnered with them at a time where we were trying to grow awareness of the food offer that we have. Fundamentally, we're known for cocktails and the bar environments that we have, but we do move a lot of food through the restaurants, so it was useful in terms of telling people about that. We've been quite careful about what's available through Deliveroo, and to the point that was just made there, if you're selling something that's very experiential and about the theatre of service and the interaction with guests, you don't want to dumb that down in any way and create a less than experience in somebody's front room. And a smoking cocktail is just not going to work in the same way when you open it alongside a box of soggy fries. So,
yeah. But then to move on to a slightly different side of VR and that experience, you've been experimenting with virtual reality in your restaurants.
Yeah, augmented reality we're at this stage, yeah, but it's a work in progress, and we'll get to the virtual point in time, I'm sure. So I think that's a good example, really, of trying to use tech the right way. There's a danger sometimes that you just chase every kind of technological trend out there. We stepped back a little bit from it a couple of years ago and said, well, what is it we're really trying to achieve with this? And we know that people enjoy the cocktails, that we take a lot of time over crafting, and we also know that people enjoy sharing the images of those cocktails through the various social media platforms. It's a really big part of everyone's business these days. So we looked at a way of combining those two ideas. We worked with a couple of partners. A supplier helped to fund the project, and we worked with an app developer to create something entirely bespoke that allowed you to order a drink, and it's an ordinary-ish drink. It has some theatre to it. Yep. Basically, it sits on a trigger card, and when you use the filter of your phone, just your phone camera, it picks up a load of moving imagery, so it augments the drink visually, and it's all done within the kind of brand collateral that we've created, lots of the imagery and ideas that sit around the Alchemist business,
and then you
sort
can
of
put that
moving
across
through the
all
phone.
of your
That's right, yeah,
Instagrams and Facebook.
And we did it as a short-run project initially. It was there as a kind of a campaign, in effect, and it was so popular that we ended up folding it into the main menu. I just got a count this morning ahead of doing this, and we've sold 28,000 of these cocktails, and they're priced quite aggressively compared to everything else because people are really into that shareability. It augments what is already quite an exciting offer and makes it a little bit different. That's been really powerful.
Anyone else looking at VR or augmented reality?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think from our perspective, we're looking at VR and augmented reality in terms of gamification in particular, just to have a little fun. So instead of a straight loyalty program, to gamify that, we're a delivery company, so we put a pizza box or a poke bowl in front of somebody. It's in their house for 20 minutes. Put a QR code, and with some augmented reality, it could be quite interesting on that.
Well, I think there was an interesting transaction recently where McDonald's acquired Dynamic Yield, and where the menus will be changing based on the weather, based on the traffic, and it's definitely something that's going to become far more used in the future. Then I'm actually going to dive in with something that I can give Griff a little bit of a world exclusive now, coming from the move on from that of robotics. So Barney was on the stage earlier on, and we've actually just at Island Poke signed a deal with him, and he will be producing a poke robot for us that will be able. You'll walk up to a screen, you'll be able to build your poke bowl on the screen, and then it will be able to kick out 180 200 bowls per hour. So if anyone wants to come to London and see a prototype, it will be ready in about next month. So feel free to send me an email and come and see it. The world of robotics. This is it was talked again about yesterday, but hospitality is a people business. It's always been a people business. Do you think there is a risk that something like robots is going to take over that, or will it fundamentally remain human interaction?
I personally think we're a long ways off in terms of robotics that are not theatrical, where it's going to reduce labor, which I think is the ultimate economic benefit. But I think, and we may get there, but I think it's a decade away. But the idea of entertainment with respect to robotics and things like that, I think is quite interesting, and you can see it in there's, especially in the bar space as well. There's some interesting opportunities there.
All right. I mean, it's an interesting piece, and I know the number that we're shelling out for a robot. And what about is it a big part of your investment over the next few years into tech, or is there a little bit of a let's step back and wait for someone else to spend a ton of money on a robot to make the learnings? Where are you in that?
Yeah, for robotics, I think we're going to wait a while because I think it's fascinating and it's going to come, but it's...
I'll make mistakes for you.
It's a while. We'll come check it out. But I think we're going to continue to spend a lot of money on tech because we think, but not tech for the sake of tech, but tech for the sake of improving the guest experience, putting experience back into technology. I think we're all, as consumers, we're a bit drunk on convenience, that's built on the tech, but I think it's going to come back to experiential, whether that's at the door or how that the app interacts with you, et cetera.
So maybe if we can go, sorry.
But on top, I would say not only for the guest experience, at least for us, one really important part is when we invest in tech, that it makes life easier for the people that we have in our restaurants and in our operation. Giving them more time, more freedom to embrace the guest experience, to make the guest experience better, to have more time for our guests and customers. Yeah. So that's the 2 points that when we decide on what we want to do and where we want to invest, it's got to tick those 2 boxes.
And so to that point, at a more micro scale, rather than robots taking over the world, what are the core things in your business now where you're spending that money on the tech? So be it staff training, CRM systems, where are the places that you're really interested?
Well, pretty much all the points that you said. We're investing heavily into our staff training because the better trained they are, the better the guest experience will be. So that's like coming always full circle. CRM, definitely. The delivery part is something we're investing heavily into. Automated shift planning to give our staff more freedom to do other things. That's all like the main points we're touching at the moment. I
think, Simon, you'd mentioned video training and other...
Yeah, I think that idea of gamification that you brought up there can work internally as well. We still, as a lot of operators, a lot of our training is done through manuals. It's quite analog, and it doesn't feel necessarily that relevant particularly to that Generation Z that are coming through who are learning the art of it. And being able to gamify that in some way and just harness some of those ideas is definitely something we're looking at. I think that the 2 channels that everyone's investing in are obviously customer facing and staff training, and the 2 things are interlinked. I think the other thing where sensible investment into technology is in around sustainability. Yep. And if you're putting some good capital into development there, it should become quite cost neutral, and lots of the simple tech really, energy saving light bulbs, automatic switch off of fridges overnight, that sort of thing can be quite valuable as well.
There's also some grander ideas going on with the likes of Sweetgreen on sustainability and where they're sourcing from and using blockchain technology to work out exactly where your lettuce has come from. Yeah. And how about you, Max? Is there anything that...
Yeah, so, I mean, what we basically believe in is, first, it's just about really creating the demand and creating a product that just really enhances the customer experience. And for us, this really goes along the lines of, especially in fast casual, of convenience and ease of use, right? So there has to be a clear benefit on how this ties in. And then second, it's about mass customization. So how do I really allow the customer to sort of focus to get the dish the way he wants it, right? And ultimately, this helps the customer just to get a better experience, but also helps me to get more data and really tailor the experience to what we have, right? We spoke before, and if you really look sort of forward 5 years, how this could look, right? I mean, like the traditional menu that could look entirely different to, just by having it online to what you have now.
Yeah, very good. And how about into things like management systems, reporting to yourselves? We've put a load of money into that, and I'm in a nice position where I can take out my phone now and I'll be able to tell you daily sales, weekly sales, beautiful dashboard on exactly what's been going on in each of the... stuck in Excel spreadsheets, or is this something that you're implementing?
I think the beauty of our platform, because we built it, is that all the data is there. So the analytics, and that we're really building out in the next 2 quarters, we're going to be building out a lot on CRM and the analytics section. So to your point, I mean, we can do that now, but we want to be able to really manipulate the data and we get real-time business intelligence. The data is there, but just the tools to do that are very important and quite straightforward to develop.
Yeah.
One of the common issues that we have, and everyone talks often about with technology generally, and this is a really good example of it, that often those platforms don't talk to one another, and what you really want is to fold your CRM, your sales analysis, your labour,
Stock management.
Everything into one document, and we are edging closer to that utopia, I think. People are starting to get there, and the inevitable kind of walls that are thrown up initially by these startup tech businesses are coming down. They're recognising the need of the end user much more, and that will be welcome, definitely.
Yeah. Well, actually, interesting, I met someone here yesterday who is looking at bringing all of that together, and you meet so many different people with EPOS systems, stock management systems, and
none of them talk to each other.
None of them talk to each other, and you can understand why they want to control their piece of kit, but there is a huge potential in the future for someone who can put all of those together. So if there was one area of tech that you would put your money in now, what is it in each of your businesses? What would be the one place to look?
I think for us, what we're really focused on is CRM, but because we're a delivery business, so we have to go out and tell our customers where we are or what we sell and how we can get it to them. And so we're building out a sort of spatial. We're able to tie revenue to points on a map. So the idea of being able to look in real time at revenue on a map spatially. And break that down by whether that's a corporate income, residential, schools or otherwise, and build that into our catering program is pretty interesting to be able to create this spatial map of revenue.
And that comes back to the point of just owning that data is so valuable. And I think over even last year at Griff, there was still lots of conversation, and delivery is still a big topic, but it feels like there is a bit of a backlash there where people do want to keep that data and keep that relationship directly with their customer. How about yourself, Simon?
I think that the main challenge we've got in the business at the moment at the scale we're at now is managing those fairly sizable increases that are coming through national living wage. Mm-hmm. And we want to do that in a positive way. As we've all said, hospitality is about people, so your main service people, your bartenders, your servers, even your frontline kitchen staff are going to be really critical to the business. So we're having to think about ways of investing to take some of that labour weight out, non-customer facing, so batch preparation of cocktail products, certain kitchen elements. If we can find a way to systemize that and make that a bit more sort of tech driven and less labour intensive, we can keep the main thing.
And also to your staffing points, I used to be guilty of just getting a staff number at the end of the month and a staff percentage at the end of the month. And actually, when we put in daily trackings and weekly trackings, you can start really seeing, you might be coming out at the 30% number or the 25% number, but actually you can be massively understaffed in certain periods, massively overstaffed in others. Your customers are getting a crap experience during those times. But it takes the time to put those in, and it takes the time to actually understand what you're looking at when you're dealing with the day-to-day disasters that we all do in these businesses. Max, number one tech piece for us?
Yeah, so I mean, if I would talk to our tech team today, they would probably not ask for another developer, but rather for a data scientist, right? Because just for that reason, because in the end, I mean, I don't want to sound cocky, but just building sort of an online ordering tool, right, for a restaurant with a very limited sort of, offering isn't really sort of, the whole deal. But the deal is really on how you ask for the data and what do you do with it, and building the system architecture around it.
Yeah, and I think we've built apps with Island Poke. We're doing one for Lena stores at the moment, and it is just the delivery piece is one side of it. It's then what can you do after that, and we've built in loyalty cards, and we've built in the click and collect side, which obviously you take out all of the drivers. There's the events catering part of it and feedback to.
For sure, I mean,
there's so much more than.
And I mean, these are all huge investments, right? And you obviously have to ask yourself, like, always, especially in a sort of not a software scaling model, right? How do you finance themselves? And there it just really becomes, you really have to look for why are you investing and where's this value coming from? And luckily, sort of in this very sort of mass customization, or at least this is our feeling, the AOV, sort of the average order value, you really have an effort, you really have a take on it, right? And by just doing very simple measurements, you can drive this up, hence earn more money, and obviously sort of amortize your investment there. Yeah.
Well, being the last one now is a tough one.
It's all been taken.
Because I fully agree with everything that's been said. Something that we're looking at the moment is like building interfaces between the different systems that we have invested in order to make life then again easier for the people in our restaurants. So when information gets in at one point, it goes through all the different systems that we have and is there for them to be used.
Yep.
To minimize the mistakes that can be made by us, by the colleagues in the restaurant, or whoever, with a certain data and information that we have.
Yeah, great. Okay, reach out to the audience very briefly if I can. Tech, any questions? One right in the center there. All right.
Hello? Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Would you mind telling us, give a little indication how much your robot is going to cost?
I'm not sure I can give you the exact number because there's a strict confidentiality agreement. All I can say is there is a ratchet, as you would expect, where the more we buy, the cheaper it becomes. For us, the size of the prize is huge there, and on our modeling, Island Poke averages 18 to 20% staff costs, which is pretty great. When we put in this robot, it comes down to 4 or 5%. And so actually the payback on the machine does add up quite nicely if we're in the right location. Is it something that I could do? We would look to do every single site exactly like that? No, but we're more looking at grander locations of Heathrow or Selfridges, that kind of setup. And yeah, it's about putting forward the, it's a very progressive company, exploring that tech. It's brand building for us as well, but absolutely, you'll be able to see everything going on. But yeah, feel free to come to London. I'll show you around.
Yeah, I have 3 questions. Ian, have you ever thought of, because I know you've been building on this platform for a couple of years and you understand the challenges in the industry, have you ever thought of taking your platform and becoming a company in the software, for the F&B industry? And then I have a couple more questions, sorry.
So the answer is yes. Our platform is built to be white labeled and for scale. It's what stopped us from doing it. We get a lot of approaches for it. What stopped us from doing it in the short term is that we're building and developing so quickly that we don't want to start working with third parties because it'll slow us down. So we have a certain set of resources, but we have such an aggressive development schedule that we're not prepared to do that just yet.
But you will do that in the future?
We'll see. To be honest, we're kind of having so much fun with doing what we're doing that it's becoming. I don't think it's something that we're gonna white label in the next sort of year to 18 months.
So there's a price for everything.
Yeah. There's
Depends how much you'll pay.
It's built for scale, but we'll see how we proceed.
My next question is that I've constantly had trouble finding, the systems don't talk to each other. I completely agree. I'm surprised that in 2020 we still don't have that resolved. How have you guys, who don't have your own platform, is that like you've just currently work in an environment where it's a trial and error, like you're using a certain POS and then you're using a certain accounting platform, and then what about supply chain, and then there's loyalty and all of that? Because I run a multi-restaurant group and I'm still having challenge getting my arms around that. And lastly, Chris, you mentioned there's a company that's trying to put it all together. Maybe if you have a name of what that company is. Thank you.
On that final one, I wonder if he's in the room or if he'll be willing to say it. Because unfortunately, I've got his business card in my bag, but I don't know. We can chat afterwards. I'll see if I can find it. Just on our systems, we've actually sat with a lot of the teams themselves and sat with them and said, this is the system we need you to integrate with. and it's been a long, painful process, and some have gone with it and some haven't. And the ones that haven't, the minute someone comes along who can put it together, we'll move to them. You know, I get daily, weekly, monthly reports, and some of them are brought together by people, and it's staff who should be running restaurants for us rather than messing around with different reports to put them into a nice, simple thing for me to look at. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I can see was a big learning from us was rather look at the team and the company you want to work with rather than the technology when looking at third parties. Because we felt that more often when you look sort of at the big sort of complete solutions, this isn't really what you want to do. So we are really trying to focus on if we integrate third parties, and obviously for investment cost, we're trying to do this as much as we can because we want to have the infrastructure and the data, but if there's someone doing a loyalty system, we don't have to rebuild it, right? But we are looking really, what team is this, where is the development, how is their funding, how do they interact with us, do we have a good sort of cooperation with it? I think this is really the key, rather than trying to do a checklist with 15 features and trying to take on each of them.
I think that's really important, that you can get in quite early with some of these companies and build it with them, and then you end up with something which is pretty tailored to you.
I think the other thing in the UK particularly is that hospitality is quite an open industry. People are very happy sharing stories, and there's lots of platforms to connect and engage with other operators. And we found that getting tech companies to listen works when you group together. You can lobby as a collective because you're generally looking for the same thing as a group of operators, and the more voices that are being heard, the more the tech companies are listening.
Absolutely. All right. Have we got time for one more? Let's do a very quick one more.
Hi, hello. I'm one of those tech providers working with restaurant brands, and what I used to experience is that we oftentimes have to educate a lot how you actually can bridge this gap between operations and technology and build this kind of perfect tech stack. So my question would be, would you confidentially say that would you say that you actually have within your teams a person that can actually bridge this kind of gap? Are you well equipped from the human resources to actually have someone in your team that can actually talk to all of these tech companies and make sure that you and these companies can build this perfect tech stack for your brand?
Because it's got to be a quick answer, I'll take it and then we've got to go. For me, ops director. It's just the ops director is the one who deals with all the day-to-day disasters. Getting their time is going to be the difficult bit, but they're the ones who truly understand how they want to look at data and what they need to see within the restaurants to help improve their operations.
And are they also building the tech stack? So the
No,
strategy?
well, not in my company. I think there's...
No, but because you just said that you have to educate the operators, I think it's not a one-way street. Because at the end, what we've realized is that every system has a way of working, so does every restaurant has a way of working. And that has to be brought together. So the tech company has to understand what is the need that the operator has, and does it actually can cater to that need or not. So you have to bring those two together, and that's definitely the operations part, and that has to explain to the tech guys what they need, and the tech guys have to explain how they can put that into working.
Yeah.
So it's not only one guy telling the other what to do.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.